Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. So, you have a friend or a relative who has finally, thankfully, broken up with a sociopath. But you're worried that the person you care about will take back that awful, disordered partner. After all, it's happened before. I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and tonight I'm making a video that you can send to someone whom you are worried about. So here's the message for your friend. I'm referring to the sociopath as he, but remember, as always, the sociopath can also be a she. We've known each other for a long time. We've been there for each other through thick and thin. I care about you. And even though I haven't been able to spend much time with you recently, ever since he came into your life. So I heard that the two of you broke up. I am thrilled. Are you surprised? Did you expect me to be upset about your breakup? I'm not. The guy is no good for you. In fact, he's no good for anyone. You may not want to hear this, but the person who you thought was the love of your life is a sociopath. But you say, he can't be a sociopath. Sociopaths are all serial killers, and he's never killed anyone. Well, unfortunately, I'm afraid you're mistaken. Yeah, some sociopaths are killers, but most of them are not. In reality, a sociopath is a social predator. These people live their lives by exploiting others. This man has been exploiting you. He moved in with you pretty quickly, as I recall. You told me that he was going to split expenses. How's that working out? I'm willing to bet that he hasn't paid you a dime. And if he did pay you, I'm sure he exploited you in other ways. Were you a babysitter for his kids? Did you do all the cooking and cleaning? Did he want to meet your business connections? Did he ask you for money? Or was it just the sex? Did he start out all hot and heavy and then seem to lose interest? In fact, has he been disappearing? Coming up with excuses to be out of town? Or maybe he doesn't even bother with the excuses. He just disappears. The reason, my friend, is probably that he's cheating on you. Sociopaths almost always cheat. Perhaps you knew this in your heart for a long time, but you didn't want to believe it. But finally, the evidence was indisputable, and you threw him out. Or maybe he dumped you. Either way, please look at it the way I do. Good riddance. Now, I know this is hard on you because you really cared about him. You thought you finally met the person you've been waiting for all your life. I'm sure that's what he told you. How do I know? Because sociopaths say that to everyone. Did he say you were soulmates? That's another standard line. But you thought it was authentic. Why? Because you're authentic. You would never say anything like that unless you meant it. So it's really hard for you to comprehend that someone could say words like, I love you, and not mean them. Here's the truth. Sociopaths are not capable of love. But they do know that when they say the words, I love you, they get what they want. Like I said, exploitation. And now he's calling you again, saying that he really does love you. He realizes that he made a mistake and he lost the best thing that ever happened to him. He says he'll sorry. He says he'll go to therapy. He promises to change. Blah, blah, blah. But you're confused. He seems to mean it. After all, he never apologized before. Hello? Now, why is that? And also, before, even though the two of you have been fighting for a long time, he never agreed to go to therapy. So you think this is progress. It's not. And don't bother with counseling. Here's what you need to know. Once sociopaths are adults, there is no rehabilitation. His offer to go to therapy is just another ploy to reel you in again. And why would he do that? My guess is that his new target threw him out, and he needs a place to stay. But you say, you really love him. My friend, what you are feeling is not love, it's addiction. Relationships with sociopaths are highly addictive. The psychological bond that forms with them is really difficult to break, and the only way to do it is cold turkey. So I want you to be strong. Please do not take him back. Understand this. He will never change. Oh, he might be that charming person that you met in the beginning for a while, but sooner or later, his obnoxious and abusive behavior will return. In fact, it will be worse than ever. And you'll be more depleted than ever, so that when he starts demeaning you again, it will be much harder to escape. My advice is to go no contact. Do not talk to this man. Block his texts and emails. Do not visit his Facebook page. If he shows up at your house, call the police. The longer you stay away from him, the more the fog will lift and your brain will clear. You see, all those nice things he said to you in the beginning, all the promises that he made, they were lies. His objective was to hook you so that he could exploit you. He was successful before, and if you let him back in, he'll do it again. How, you may ask, can I say this? How do I know what he'll do? I know because I was in a relationship just like the one that you were in. I learned the hard way, and I don't want you to go through what I went through. So I'm talking to you the way that I wish someone had talked to me back when I was in this situation. Love always, your friend. If you know someone who needs to hear this message, please send them the link to this video. Or maybe you're in this situation yourself. You've just left the sociopath and you're struggling. Whenever you feel your resolve weakening, watch this video. Remind yourself that you really are better off without him or her. So next I'll answer your questions. If you have a question, please be sure to subscribe so you can ask it. When you subscribe, you'll automatically be notified about all of my new videos. And plus, by subscribing, you'll boost the distribution of Lovefraud Live on YouTube so that you'll help spread the word about the dangerous sociopaths who live among us. Okay, well, we got a few comments here. Let's see what's going on. Yes, so Beautiful Life says, married, paid all the bills, lies, cheats, purposely pushes buttons to fake fights and justify it all. Tells everyone you are crazy. That's another important thing that I could have added to the letter. That's a absolutely standard operating procedure for a sociopath, is to accuse you of being crazy, mentally unbalanced, getting old, losing your memory, psychologically damaged, whatever. And unfortunately, they say it so often, plus they do things to cause psychological damage, like gaslighting. Gaslighting is essentially what they all do, and what that means is that the person who is doing the gaslighting just tells you an absolute lie with total conviction as if he or she is speaking the truth, and everybody knows he's speaking the truth and he can't possibly be wrong, and you believe it, especially if they chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away. And I mean, the gaslighting is really insidious, and what makes it work for the sociopath is that they are so entitled and feel that they just have the absolute right to do whatever they want in order to get whatever they want, that there's no hesitation. So they lie, they speak these words with absolute confidence in a very commanding tone, and that's what we react to. I mean, even if we know that the words aren't making sense or there's something wrong with the content, we react to the emotion of it and the forcefulness and the confidence and the commanding nature of it. And that's why the gaslighting works. So that contributes to the fact that you start to feel crazy, even if they do the typical gaslighting thing, like taking your keys and then asking you where you put your keys. I mean, they actually do that. But all of these things combined, if you weren't crazy before, their behavior starts to make you feel crazy, and then they accuse you of being crazy when they're the ones that instigated the crazy to begin with. So, yeah, that's definitely something that happens all the time. So Red Cardinal says, I have 2 months of no contact, and he called 2 days ago. I have so much peace not being around him or talking to him. So I hope that you didn't pick up the phone, and maybe you can take the next step of actually blocking the calls. And good for you. 2 months away from him, good for you. And, it's kind of interesting because sociopaths just seem to have this radar of knowing when you might be open to a conversation again. I mean, I don't know how they do it. I guess they're psychic. But, you could be away from the person for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 2 years, whatever. And you're just getting to the point where you think that, I'm finally over this. I'm finally moving on. I'm maybe I'm not as hyper vigilant as I used to be. I'm finally settling down, finally feeling calm. And they call again. And somehow they just seem to know. So it's important that you realize that it's your decision, that you will have nothing more to do with this person. And you actually might want to think about in advance, or maybe plan what you will do if he calls out of the blue, or she calls out of the blue, or you run into them or something. Because your reaction might surprise yourself. I mean, I've heard of people who had, split up, and I remember this one story. These people, the couple was split up, and the woman was at a shopping mall, and the guy just happened to drive by and saw her, and her first reaction was she wanted to run up and hug him. And that was just her, spontaneous reaction, even though she knows what a creep he was and how bad he was to her. So your reaction might surprise you. So you kind of need to be prepared that, okay, if this person shows up, this is what I'm going to do. And maybe think it through in your mind so that because you do not want to go back to him or her. They don't change. And if you go back, you'll be back in the same mess that you were in before that. Okay, so Kaina asks, why don't the narcissist ever answer questions with a yes or no answer? Narcissists and also antisocial psychopaths, this whole variety of sociopath, they always want to keep all the balls in the air. They're juggling, and the balls are in the air. And they don't want to make a commitment because they always want to be able to make a change or change a plan or see what the new opportunity is coming along. They want to keep their options open. So if they say yes or no, that supposedly is a decision. Of course, they may deny that they said yes or no, but typically they're always, trying to keep things in motion and to keep it so that it can be manipulated. So the less concrete their answer, the more they're able to manipulate. So that's why they do it. I remember my ex-husband, and he would do this in writing with these proposals he wrote and things. He would never commit to anything, because then you're told that it's all your fault and to apologize, works you up again and gains emotional control again. Don't answer their calls. Yeah, that's really important. No contact means no contact. It means you do not answer any calls, because here's what happens. Now, suppose this person calls you 50 times, okay? Could be 50 times in one day, or 50 times over a week or a couple weeks, whatever. Calls you 50 times. Then he calls you on the 51st time, and you finally had it, and you pick up the phone and you say, "Leave me alone." Well, what you have taught this person is that after 51 tries, you will pick up the phone. So that's why no contact is so important. No contact is forever. No contact means you don't talk to them at all. And, if necessary, if it gets really bad and the person is stalking you, you might have to take some kind of legal action or something like that. But you got to be careful about that. People are always saying, well, maybe you should get a restraining order. And the problem with a restraining order, there's two problems with a restraining order. First of all it is a piece of paper. It doesn't necessarily mean that the sociopath is going to abide by a restraining order. And secondly, it gives the sociopath something to argue about. That, if you've got this legal action going with the sociopath, that means he has to go to court, which he actually likes to go to court, because for him, court is an opportunity for theater, an opportunity to put on a show. And so sometimes it's better off not doing that. In fact, Gavin de Becker, who wrote the book The Gift of Fear, he does not advise, for the most part, getting a restraining order for precisely these reasons. It's like waving a red cape in front of a bull, and it makes the bull charge. So there's no point in doing that. Very rarely does he recommend legal action for that reason, because then it just gets them worked up. So, okay. Oh, God, Walter Phillips talking about his ex-wife. He gets a flat 2 miles from home, calls the wife to pick him up, and she gets lost. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yep. They're just so unreliable, so unable to be supportive. And that's one of the things about a relationship with someone like this, is that it's not a relationship of give and take. It's you give and they take. So it's not a partnership. They're not going to be there to be supportive of you, even if something like a flat tire. God forbid if you get sick. Where you're really ill, or you have an accident and you really need support. Well, they can't be bothered. You're crimping their style if you're in the hospital or something like that. So there's these relationships just simply do not work. And when you manage to get out, it's important to get in the frame of mind that you are going to stay out. And whatever you have to do to be able to stay out, that's what you want to do. Okay, so Liz is saying that her husband is BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, intense fear of abandonment. I figured out his pattern and I calmly leave, and he apologizes and love bombs. Seems to wear him down. Yeah, Borderline is different. Borderline people, as you mentioned, do have the capacity for being fearful of abandonment. That is definitely one of the traits of borderline personality disorder. It's not a trait of antisocial or narcissistic personality disorder. So borderline is kind of sad in that the women who have borderline personality disorder, and most people who are diagnosed with borderline personality disorder are women, unfortunately, a lot of them have been sexually abused, especially when they were young. And the men who have borderline personality disorder, many of them have been shamed by their parents or other authority figures when they were young. So there's a lot of anxiety involved in this disorder, and the whole thing is very sad. But the problem is that even though their behavior has a different root and a different cause, the behavior is very similar. Essentially what they have is pathological social relationships. They fly off the handle. They love you, they hate you. They can't maintain normal relationships. So regardless of why someone has one of these personality disorders or which disorder it is, the effect on you or the rest of us being around this person is the same. It's just drama and trauma and everything else. So it's really sad. But my opinion is that our prime responsibility is to protect ourselves. And the whole reason that we get involved in a relationship is for partnership, not a project. If you get involved with somebody who has one of these disorders, at best, it's a one-sided project with you doing all the work. And at worst, it can be exploitative, abusive, and dangerous. So that's why once you realize that you're involved with somebody who has one of these personality disorders, that you really need to extricate yourself as soon as you can and stay away. It's very important to stay away. Oh, so Whitney says, I just finished reading Lovefraud. What an incredible book. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Speaking of books, my newest book, Senior Sociopaths, is going to be available on Amazon on December 1st. Wrapping up the production now, so it will be ready very soon. And also, I think I may have mentioned before that I'm going to be on TV again on Investigation Discovery Channel. The show is called Love, Honor, and Betray, and it will air on December 16th, which is a Thursday. And I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen it yet. I know that the production team worked really hard on putting this story together, so I'm anxious to see it. So lots of big stuff coming up next month. Anyway, that appears to be the questions for today. No more questions. So thank you so much for joining me. We will be off next week. Thanksgiving is next week, so I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And right after that, we move into lots of things with Lovefraud. My new book coming out, the TV show, so there's going to be a lot going on. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and please enjoy your holiday. Thanks a lot.